In this video, I'm going to show you some of the ways that we can use the Emidex system to plan and create recipe work orders. Firstly, I'll navigate to the recipe system module. Then open the planning form. The first task I will complete on this form is to select the target recipe. For this example, I will select my irresistible Italian pork meatballs, which is the same recipe definition that we looked at in the previous video. Within this form, there are 5 main ways that we can plan for a recipe. We can use a standard batch, the standard batch size coming from the recipe definition or the bill of materials module, quantity of standard batch sizes, a custom batch size, a calculated batch size, or using sales order demand. Once I have selected my target recipe and the plan type, I can then select Calculate Plan. This will then provide me with the details of what the plan will look like on the right hand side of the screen, which is broken into 3 sections. The first section, Production Plans, gives me some basic information about the recipe if I was to create it. Production Plan totals and summarizes what batches would be created to meet the required weight. In this scenario, it is 1 standard batch. The next section is the production plan details. This shows me the various ingredients required to make the recipe, as well as the quantity of each ingredient. What I will now do is change the plan type from standard batch to quantity of standard batches. And I'll then change the quantity to 5 and select Calculate Plan. This will now update the details on the right hand side. You can now see that I have 5 standard batches, and the system has updated to instruct me how much of each ingredient is required to make these 5 batches. You may be faced with scenarios where you need to plan for batch sizes that are different from the standard batch size. To do this, you can simply select the plan type Custom Batch Size. You will now see that I have the option to enter a quantity of batches and a batch size. In this scenario, I'll enter 2 batches at 300 kilos each and select Calculate Plan. Once the plan has calculated, you can now see that we have no standard batches, but 2 custom batches totaling 600 kilos. The last plan type we have available from this window is the calculated batch size. This plan type allows you to select an ingredient from the recipe that you have selected above and enter a quantity of the ingredient that you want to use. In this scenario, let's say that I have 500 kilos of pork loin trim that has a use by date of tomorrow. If I do not use the pork loin trim today, I will need to discard of the product as it will be out of date. Within this form, I can select the prime ingredient, pork loin trim, and the quantity that I have to use, in this scenario, 500 kilos. Once I select Calculate Plan, the system will then calculate the quantities of all the other ingredients that I need to be able to consume the 500 kilos of pork loin trim. You can see here that I need 108 kilos of meatball units, 500 kilos of beef trim, and so on. The system has automatically shown me that I also require 2 standard batches and 1 custom batch size to consume the 500 kilos of pork loin trim. Once I am satisfied with the plan, I can then create my work order. Firstly, by selecting the day that I want this to be produced on, and as well as entering a work order description. I'll now select Create Production Work Orders, which in the background will create the production work orders for me. I now have available in the system 1 work order with 3 batches. We also have a set of reports that can be generated from the system, such as this recipe production plan final blend. In the next video, we will go down onto the factory floor and I'll take you through scanning ingredients and raw items into the recipe.